Okay, so the final video of three. We've done a video on the furnace components. We've done a video on furnace servicing, taking parts out, putting them back in. In this video, we're going to focus on maintenance. So this is the regular maintenance if you were sent by your company to do a furnace maintenance, the kind of things you would look for. So again, just a disclaimer. This video is for training purposes, to train technicians getting into the heating field. This is not a do-it-yourself video. So do not take this as now you can work on your own furnace, or you can work on your on any furnace. You still do need the proper licenses, and you do need to work under supervision if required to do so. So just wanted to state that. I guess the big question usually is why maintenance? Obviously, maintenance is preventative. That's why they call it preventative maintenance. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to prevent larger issues down the road, breakdowns, inconvenient breakdowns, loss of heat during the middle of winter. Our customers are stuck. So you're trying to prevent these things. That's the whole idea of preventative maintenance, keeping things clean, keeping things functioning, catching problems before they start. That's why we do preventative maintenance. As a business owner, previous business owner, preventative maintenance was really good for us in the sense that it's a good time filler. So the industry has pretty steep up and down curves, busy seasons, slow seasons. Maintenance is the perfect thing to do when things aren't quite as busy. That's how you keep your good employees busy so that you don't have to lay them off and they go somewhere else. So it kind of keeps work going at a bit more of an even keel. So maintenance has a lot of benefits to the customer, yes, but also to the company. Guaranteed business, repeat business. I always felt that customers that I did maintenance for got preferred service. They would be the people that I would respond to sooner than just a random phone call. So they get better service than just the person off the street. So for maintenance, kind of like I mentioned before, when I go and do a maintenance, the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else, visual. You're going to look and smell and just have a quick visual of what's happening. Cabinet, is the cabinet in good shape? I've got a condensate because this is high efficiency furnace. There's condensate here. Have a quick look, make sure it's not overflowing, make sure the drain is piped properly and that it's piped in a way that is decent. And the venting, I'm going to have a quick look at the venting. A lot of earlier furnaces were done in ABS pipe. It's still okay if the ABS is still functioning properly. It's okay to leave it, but you as the technician need to check that pipe, check all the joints. If there is one joint that has come apart, the whole ABS section of pipe needs to be removed and S636 pipe needs to be installed in its place. You as the technician have the right to do that. It's a safety consideration and you need to do it. As soon as you see it, take responsibility for it. Don't walk away from it. And if it's the new pipe, if it's S36, have a look at it. Make sure the joints haven't come apart. Make sure they've been done properly. And make sure the venting doesn't have any sags in it, and that everything is in good shape. So you're going to have a quick look at that. Once I've done that, again, before I take any covers off, usually there's going to be a duct here, a return air duct. And in that duct is going to be a filter. Have a look at the filter, pull the filter up. Is it clean? Does it need to be replaced? Something that a lot of homeowners don't think about, but filters need to be kept clean, filters need to be replaced. So that's one thing you're going to check. The nice thing about having maintenance contracts is you will have this information written down. You can come, when I come and work on Mrs. Smith's furnace, and I know what filter size it is. If I've been here before, I can have that with me. I don't have to run out, pick it up, come back, or have 5 or 6 different boxes of filter sizes in my truck, because that's not the easiest way to do it. If I have a sheet with all this information on it, I know the filter size, I can bring it with me, I can have it, and then be ready to go. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to start removing some covers. Top cover is going to expose the burner compartment for me. So I'm going to have a look at the burners. I'm just going to see, is there any sooting? Is there anything that looks out of whack? Any of the wiring burnt? Is there anything that shows that maybe something isn't functioning properly? So I'm going to have a quick look at that. Generally, high efficiency furnaces don't need to be, the burners don't need to be removed. If it's a standard efficiency furnace, atmospheric burner, then there's a good chance you may be needing to pull the burner. You might need to pull the burners, clean them, put them back in again, disassemble it, reassemble it. High efficiency, maybe not so much. Again, just have a quick look. I'm going to move down from the burners to the Venter motor. The Venter motor is extremely important. Give it a spin. Make sure there's no noise, no bearing noise in the motor. The motor spins freely. I don't hear anything inside the housing that might be loose, something, you know, any water sloshing around in there or anything like that. So I'm going to look for those telltale signs. Look for any visual sign of, you know, is condensate leaking anywhere? Is there any type thing, oh, maybe one of these clamps has come loose or anything like that. I'm going to have a quick look at that. Bearing noise for sure. Motors, as bearings get worn out, they usually start to get noisier. And that's an obvious thing that I can find before it breaks down. The motor is going to give me some signs that it's wearing out. So yes, if I do start hearing things, I can say to the customer, look, it sounds like your Venter motor is starting to get a little noisy and worn out. Maybe we should address that while we can. So the Venter motor noises, things like that. I'm going to have a quick look at the electrical stuff. Just give everything a little bit of a tug. Just make sure all the connections are tight. And we'll see why in a minute once we look down below. Just look for any signs of wire damage, burnt wires, anything like that. And then I'll move down to the blower section. And again, quick look. So a motor is over on this side. Again, I'm going to give this a spin. Listen for noise. I'm going to reach in. This is a direct drive blower, so there's no fan bearing. There's a bearing in the motor. So I'm going to give this motor a quick wiggle up and down. Listen for any play in the motor bearings. If there is, that's a sign the motor's starting to get worn. I'm going to run my fingers through the fan blade and look for any dirt. We talked about this before. If any dirt gets in that fan blade and fills up the cups of the fan blade, the efficiency of my furnace, the movement of air drops dramatically. And that's a sign that, maybe I should be removing the burner and cleaning it. Again, tug the wires, give the wires a tug. And remember, we looked at this before. Oh, look what I just found. I found a wire that wasn't crimped very well and just pulled right out of that stay-con. So those are the kind of things that you're looking for, because that's a huge potential problem. Even if it is making contact, it's going to get hot, and it's over time, it's going to burn that connection up and cause problems down the road. Circuit board here, have a quick look at the circuit board. There's really not much you can do with the circuit board, but just look for telltale signs, burns, resistors that might be burnt spots on the circuitry, anything like that. The light won't be blinking right now because the power is turned off while you're doing this. So that's what you're going to be looking for. Once I've done that, just have a quick look. Remember one very important thing when you're doing maintenance. The customers usually are not very technical. So you come to do a furnace cleaning. If there's dust on top of the furnace, and after you've done your thing, there's still dust on top of the furnace, as far as they're concerned, you haven't done your job. The furnace is still dirty. That's what they see, that's what they think. Bring a rag with you, bring a little vacuum with you if you can. Just make sure everything is clean. Dust is removed, small particles are removed. That's what the customer sees. That's what they care about. They don't know how a burner operates. They don't know how an induced draft motor operates. They don't know how a blower operates, what a circuit board's supposed to do. All they see is the clean part. So that's what they're looking for. Okay, so just make sure things are clean after you leave. Once I've done all that, I am going to, remember this is a furnace check. We're not checking air conditioning here, we're just checking the furnace. We'll maybe do air conditioning in another video, but down the road we'll see. I am now going to run the furnace through a cycle. I'm going to go up to the thermostat, turn the thermostat up so that it calls for heat, and I'm going to watch the furnace go through its cycle. I'm going to watch the combustion blower start, the venter motor. I'm going to watch the igniter ignite, get glow. I'm going to watch the burner's light. I'm going to look at the burner flame, look for the characteristics of the flame, see if the flame looks good. Those are things that I'm going to look for. I'm going to watch it run through a cycle. On the circuit board, there are some settings as far as when the blower starts, when the blower stops. So obviously, if you've been working on furnaces a little bit, the burner is going to start before the blower starts. Okay, so the burner is going to run for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever, 60 seconds. Depends on some settings that are down here. And again, you as the technician, you can change those settings. So that's something that you can do. Look in the owner's menu, look in the installation manual. It's going to tell you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to listen for the blower to start. I'm going to let it run for a bit, let the furnace run for a bit. Then I'm going to turn the thermostat down. The burners are going to switch off. The fan's going to run for a little bit, and then it's going to turn off. I'm going to watch it go through a complete cycle. That way I know that everything is operating properly. And I want to see that happen. All right? Once that's done, I've kind of done my thing. I should also mention about the venting. Have a quick look outside, the vent termination outside, where the pipes go through the wall. Make sure that there's nothing blocking those, because if there's shrubbery, plants, furniture, whatever in front of those, there's going to be problems, and you want to prevent any of those problems from happening. Bugs can get in them, animals can get in them, things can plug them up, leads can plug them up, lots of things can happen. So I want to make sure that those terminations are clean and neat. So that's kind of it for the maintenance. Again, a lot of companies have maintenance contracts, set price. You come in, you do it. This is included, this is not included. Usually blower removal and cleaning isn't included in a maintenance. That's an extra charge, but that's up to the company. I usually recommend to have some sort of a checklist. There's all kinds of templates on the internet. Hopefully your company will set something up like that, but some sort of a checklist that as you're going through, check, done this, burners, check, venter motor, check, blower, check, burner operation, check, and go through it piece by piece. I'm not a big fan of limit switch tripping, like stopping the blower, letting the furnace get really hot, tripping the limit just to test the limit switches, because it's a switch, has a limited lifespan, and you're putting some extreme conditions on the furnace that the furnace really, you only want to see in extreme emergency cases. You don't want that to be happening all the time. You're gonna, because there's 4 limits in this, so the chance of all 4 of them failing at the same time are pretty slim. So I'm not a big fan of just tripping limit switches just for the sake of tripping them and testing them. Again, the checklist, make sure that and with the checklist, and you can leave a copy with the homeowner. You can say, look, this is what I've done, check, 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 everything looks good. If there's any recommendations, you write them at the bottom. This, I noticed this, this should be addressed, things like that. Those are the kind of things that you're going to suggest to the customer. And that's the whole reason for doing preventative maintenance in the first place, right? Just so that you can suggest those things, catch those things before they happen. It is possible. I don't have a combustion analyzer access to one right now, so hopefully down the road I can do a video on combustion analysis once the burner's running, do analysis of the flue gases to let me know are the burners functioning properly, is the flame good. So we'll maybe look at that down the road. So we'll see whether I can do that or not on a further date. It'll be a good video to do. There's a lot of videos on the internet that deal with that, but it'd be good to show you how to do that as well. But maybe we'll do that down the road a little bit. So anyway, so that kind of wraps up my series of 3 on the furnace. Again, I hope to do another couple hot water tank, going over the components of a hot water tank, and just a little more to do with that. Going over some vent material, showing you the 636 pipe, what to look for on the pipe, things like that. So down the road, maybe we'll address that, and hope these videos helped, and take care.